Hi, Sarthak. Can you hear me? Hi, Saurav. Can you
Ashraf.
hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Yeah,
Hi,
all
Sathak.
good.
Can you hear
I
me?
think I think 11 a.m. It's pretty early for a people to join in.
Yes, I think so. It is
Yeah,
early over here. That is because of the reason, because of the temperature and weather.
yep. It's a lot harder to make ourselves easier. Hi, Somaili. Am I pronouncing your name right? Um,
I guess Saumeli. Hi, Saumeli.
yeah. So we are waiting for folks to join in, and we'll start our meetup on time. Probably 5 minutes after that, all the people have joined. So stay here and we'll wait a little while and then let all the people join in. There is a lot of noise coming from your side, Saurabh.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Sarthak. How are you? Where are you based out of?
Yeah, I'm based out of Lucknow only.
Oh, good. Great. Um, I think Saurabh is also based. Saurabh is actually from Lucknow, but I don't think he's based out of Lucknow. Abhinav is also based out of Lucknow, but currently not in Lucknow.
Hello, hi everyone.
And Abhinav is our one of the speaker for today's sessions. So yeah. Um, let's wait for a few minutes for folks to join in, and then we'll probably start with our event. Yeah. Mm,
Hello, Saurav. Hello, Sudhanshu. Uh,
Hi, how are you?
yeah, I'm great. So,
So how should
it's
we pronounce your name?
it's Shomili. You can pronounce it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Hi, Usab. So Somali, you are also based out of Lucknow.
No, I am from Kolkata and currently I'm in Chennai.
Okay.
But I guess I came across Achanandi's post about this event
Yes.
and I joined.
Yes. Yeah.
And I joined.
Yeah. He's the second speaker. So yeah, he will be here as well. Yeah.
Yes, and the sessions are quite interesting, so I couldn't miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also excited what he's going to talk about. I might learn something new from him. And also, Abhinav is the person who has been very active in a CNCF space. Plus, he's one of the organizer of the KCD event, which is happening in New Delhi. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah,
Okay, okay. Actually, yeah, I'm also looking forward to being in that CNCF space, contribute to some projects. Maybe I get to learn something new as well.
hmm yeah, sure. I think we are about the time, but let's say wait for 1 or 2 minutes because 11 is the time that you have set for people to start the event. And yeah. Um, where are you right now, Abhinav? You're in Delhi?
No, I'm in Bangalore.
So you have been
No, I've
traveling to
moved to
different
Bangalore.
places
It's been around 2 years.
now. So for you, it might be a little easier to wake up. For us, it's little harder to
It's very
wake up in
cold,
the
right?
morning. It's pretty cold. It's way too cold for us. Yeah.
It's good here. It's fine.
Mm, I see. Hmm. Let me start sharing my screen. In the meantime, the folks are joining in. Um, okay. Uh, let's wait 1 more minute and we'll start with the event. Yeah. Though I have sent out the message to all the folks who have actually checked in. So there was a quite many people who have actually uh, RSVP. So probably it will take some time for people to join in. Okay. I think we can start with the sessions and probably let the folks join in between. Yeah. We are also recording the session in case people want to basically watch it afterwards. So let me start with the introduction and give out what's actually going to happen in this meetup. And unfortunately, we were planning to organize it offline, but at least for this meetup, it's a virtual one. Probably in the next one, with all the support, we'll probably organize an offline one for all the people, and that would be much more beneficial, I think. But yeah, and I welcome you all to take your time. I mean, taking the time from your schedules and basically waking up this in weekend and actually making up to the meetup. And this is our second meetup, I would say, from the starting from the last year, but first for this year. So yeah. So for agenda for this meetup, we'll give you a introduction for about this meetup and a quick short intro about who the people are behind this meetup and a few CNCF update in case you are wondering what is happening in the CNCF landscape. And if you want to join any bigger events from offline or online, what's there. And we have two sessions, one from Abhinav Dubey, backpacking through the CNCF landscape. And the second one is from Achanan, which is writing code really enough for open source. And we'll have your feedback about the sessions, how you feel about it, what you think we should do next, and if you what the topic you are really interested in. And if there is any, I will share about if there is a job opening announcement if you are actually looking out for any jobs. So let's start with introduction. So behind this chapter, we have four people. Pranshu, I was hoping he will probably join. I'm not sure he is here, but he might be busy with something else. But yeah, he is one of the organizer, and me myself, and Sanjal and Saurabh, who is actually present in the this meeting as well. So we are the four people behind this meetup. If you are interested or want to speak or do anything about that, or like um, you want us to plan an offline meetup in your college, let's say you are providing a space or anything, we would be happy to basically discuss about that. And and we have one volunteer which is working with us, Mrityunjay Trivedi, and I'm actually very thankful for him to basically bring sh- actually make people aware about this meetup and help in some of the work that we have been doing in the background. So that's been a very great help from Mrityunjay, and probably we'll scale this meetup in an offline setup with more power to from all the people. Thank you for being part of this volunteer, Mrityunjay, and hoping to continue with these contributions and all.
Thank you so much for
About
having me.
yeah, glad to be that you are with us. And about the CNCF, it's a non-profit organization if you already know about it, but it's a totally non-profit and it's currently work around all the things which is around cloud natives to help scale, provide standards, and basically reach to a common ground for all the peoples. And people have been donating projects to it. And one of the bigger one project which actually comes under the CNCFs are actually Kubernetes and Prometheus and Envoy. If you have heard about Kubernetes, so that's the organization behind who actually maintains it. And there are a lot of things around CNCF which revolves. And it's a vendor neutral home for open source and cloud native projects. So if you are coming from a company and this does not have an open source culture, that's this CNCF space is actually could be a space for you to understand what vendor neutral home, and if you want to contribute to something apart from your company side of work. Now, about the cloud native computer growth Lucknow. This has started last year, but we couldn't do a lot of meetups, so that is why we don't have uh, I mean, and that is why we are doing it virtually because it takes time to reach to our offline setup and have a lot of people join in and basically have a growing community. But with this year mindset, this year good spirit, we are thinking to bring more people offline. And if you're around and you are from Lucknow, I think that would be very great if you can actually join in person in the next one. And if you wanted to connect and know about the updates and anything that is happening in the CNCF Lucknow space or the upcoming meetups or speakers, opportunities, or anything that update from our side, you can follow us on the Twitter, LinkedIn community page, and the Slack channel. If you are under this, if you are in CNCF Slack, you can actually look for a CNCG Lucknow channel, and you can probably join us over there, and you can ping us and start and say hi, and we'll be probably be happy to basically connect with you. So apart from that, CNCF is a very large organization. Not just it's not like a this is the only meetup that is been happening. There are a lot many local chapters like this one, and there has been a bigger communities like this one. And one of the one is Kubernetes Community Days Delhi, which is happening on Fab 21. And we have one of the organizers from that community, Abhinav, who is joining us. So probably he can give you more updates about what is happening, if and what's the benefit would be while joining these meetups and all. And there is a bigger event on a national level. Um, which are like China, KubeCon, China, Japan, and India. And I think in India this time is happening in Mumbai in June. So if you are looking for a bigger event to join and connect to on a scale of that where thousands of people are joining, then I think KubeCon India is the place for you. And if you are interested for speaking in our next events, you are probably welcome, and you can touch to any of the organizers and basically uh, and send out a message that hey, you want to talk about or something on some topic, and we will be happy to basically have you on board. So without further ado, let's start with the first session, and I welcome Abhinav Dubey and to basically start sharing screen and basically let us walk through the session, and let's learn from and look from Abhinav's point of view how the CNCF landscape actually looks like. Welcome, Abhinav, to the CNCF Lucknow meetup. I'm very happy that you are coming here and that too on a very short notice. Yeah,
It's my pleasure, brother.
yeah.
Let me share my screen. Lucknow will always have been one of the closest place to me because I had my high schooling there in Lucknow actually. So anything for Lucknow. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. Before I actually start the presentation, I have a quick question here. So the audience joining here, right? How many of you have ever looked the CNCF landscape and felt overwhelmed? You can type in chat maybe, and someone can tell me if there are any.
I think somebody wanted to say something. I think, yep, Sarthak and Gaurav says they have actually looked up. Yeah, I see some messages. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. So let me begin this journey. So who am I? Before we actually dive into the nitty-gritties of CNCF landscape, this is me, Abhinav. I am working as a solution architect at Devtron. I like to call myself as a Kubernetes head with a traveling soul. So you might have guessed it from the title itself, right? Traveling is something that is very close to me. Apart from this, I'm also a CNCF ambassador for last 3 years, AWS community builder under containers category, again for last 3 years, organizer of the CNCF New Delhi chapter, and founder and author at DevOps Diary. So DevOps Diary is my publication where I try to keep up the pace and put as many as content I can. But for last 1 year, I guess it was not active, but this year I have started it again. So a couple of blogs has already been put up. Feel free to take a look. You can scan this QR code to connect with me on LinkedIn, and these are my social credentials where I'm pretty much active. Now, this is the first look of CNCF landscape, right? Can you even visualize it? I mean, can you see the logos? Can you see the categorizations? I'm sure you won't be able to see it anything, right? Because there are hundreds of projects here in CNCF ecosystem. There are multiple different categories. There is no straightforward defined starting point how you can start it and how the journey should begin, right? When you plan for a travel journey, let's say I personally like bike rides, right? Last weekend I went to a temple here in Bangalore itself, which was 70 kilometer far. It's a 600-year-old temple. So when you start a journey, the very first thing that you do is check the destination, right? Where do you want to reach? And then the journey begins. Which road you want to take? Do you want to take the shortcuts? Do you want to go with the highway? Do you want to take the service line roads, basically? So you figure it out all, right, with the navigation. Here, when it comes to CNCF landscape, there is no starting point. Everything is categorized. There are tons of tools in each and every category. Maybe this look would give a better idea of now at least you can see some of the categories, some of the projects. Some projects are bigger in size, some are smaller in size, which I'll talk about a bit more in the next slide. But this is how the landscape looks like. And I've been into the CNCF ecosystem for quite a while, and professionally as well, I'm completely into Kubernetes native ecosystem. Devtron itself is a Kubernetes native platform for last 4 and 5 years. So even I myself have not tried each and everything, and I'm sure no one would try each and everything, right? That's the reality of the ecosystem, basically. So currently, if you see here, there are around 239 CNCF projects. The fundamental difference between a project and a CNCF member is that if you see the graphs here, the graphs are continuously increasing. There are approximately 239 CNCF projects as of now. There are approximately 760 something CNCF members, and it's continuously growing. CNCF members are those members, those companies who invest on the CNCF ecosystem, sponsor their events, support this non-profit organization basically. For example, Devtron, we are also CNCF silver members. We sponsor almost all the cube calls basically, primarily the NA and the Europe one. So these are the CNCF members. So does that mean a CNCF member is a CNCF project? No. Project is entirely different thing. So for example, we have a tool, right? Devtron dashboard. So if we donate the entire project to CNCF, then that project becomes a CNCF project. Now, when it comes to project, there are multiple different tiers in the projects as well. The very starting one is the sandbox project. So if you can figure out through the number itself, right? There are 142 CNCF projects as of now, and these are very early stage projects which might have a good future. There are little bit contributions from the community, a little bit stars. There is a big future, and that's why it is being contributed to a CNCF sandbox project. A real example of that would be Homes GPT. If you might have heard of, recently Homes GPT got accepted as a CNCF sandbox project. Then comes incubating projects. Incubating projects are those who have seen a really good adoption. People are trying it out, a lot of good contribution, the number of stars are increasing. So those are incubating projects, a slightly mature than the sandbox one. And once the project is completely matured, once it has been tested on production, people are heavily using on production, a global massive adoption, then it becomes graduated projects basically. For example, if I let me just go back to my previous screen, the biggest one that you see here, right? Those are either incubating projects or the graduated projects. Recently, last year, I guess in November, right? November or October, Crossplane has been graduated to a CNCF graduated project. Argo CD, Flux CD, these are the ones who are actually graduated. KDA is one of the example. These are from different categories I'm talking about, not from a specific one category. So from different categories, these are the projects which are being graduated now. So graduation means it's perfectly safe to use in production. It can handle a scale that you want to go ahead with. So that's how the projects and the members looks like in the CNCF ecosystem. And these are different categories in the projects. And 26 projects as of now are archive projects. Archive projects are those in which there are no maintainers, or let's say people don't have much time to contribute to it. For example, 2 or 3 days back, the official Kubernetes dashboard, which was a Kubernetes UI, has been deprecated now. It has been archived basically because of lack of maintainers, and contributors. So those are the projects in which you don't work, even though if it is a CNCF project, if you're not actively working on it, maintaining on it, eventually after, so every 3 months they do a survey on that, they do a pulse analysis, and if it is not up to the mark, if it is not being maintained, then the particular project would be archived basically. So that's how the CNCF projects looks like, and there's a primary difference between the CNCF projects and the members. Now, in this session, we are going to talk about two basic rules of backpacking, right? When you take your bike, when you go ahead, so what are the two fundamental things that you do? The very first thing is that you don't pack everything, right? A very small example. Let's say if you're going on a beach trip, you might not want to pack your skating boots, right? So that's a very fundamental example. So you don't need to pack up everything. The same thing applies with the CNCF ecosystem as well. You don't need to start with every project. You don't even need every project. As I mentioned, right? I have worked on production systems across different customers. I have not used every tool in the production. Hardly you will use 5 to 6 projects across different categories in your production environment, not everything. So that's how it works. So you don't need to worry about learning each and every tool. Every journey needs a different tools, right? Now it depends upon what exactly you are doing. For example, are you a developer, are you a platform engineer, are you a DevOps engineer, are you a SRE? Every tooling would be different for you. For developers, nats might be something that they might want to use, right? Envoy proxy might be something that they want to use to intercept the proxy and make some changes or analysis, whatever it is, right? But as a DevOps or SRE, you might want to use Grafana and Prometheus, right? Or as a DevOps, you might want to set up the pipelines. You want to use something else for the CI/CD pipelines. So every journey is different, and for every journey, there are different tools associated with that. But everything comes with a small. Everything comes down to the basic fundamentals. The very first thing is that you need to be very sure about what exactly you want to do and build a strong foundation on that. That's a fundamental for everything, be it the CNCF ecosystem or it can be for the AWS ecosystem, anything. You need to understand what exactly you want to do and build a strong fundamentals for that, and then you should be able to move ahead with the journey. And by the way, feel free to stop me, or if anyone have any questions, please put down in the comments, or maybe you can unmute and speak up. So it would let's make it an interactive one so that we can make the most out of it. Cool. The next thing is, why does this CNCF landscape exist, right? Now think of it like it's a map, right? In that particular map, every region is different. For example, if you are on a bike ride from Kanyakumari to Leh Ladakh, right? In that particular journey, you will see a lot of different characters, a lot of different terrains, right? There would be some hills, there would be some plain dry areas, there would be some rains, right? Every region has its own characteristics basically. The same thing happens here as well, because we have a lot of tools in this ecosystem, and cloud native is not that simple, it's really complex. Every tool or every application has their own requirements, right? And to cater those requirements, CNCF tends to put them in a particular structure, in a particular groups, basically the categories, so that you can choose from those categories depending upon your application needs. And this categories basically helps you to organize your solutions, different solutions, right? For the problem statement that you're looking to. They're the very fundamentals of why exactly do you need a CNCF landscape, because it gives you a structure basically. It gives you a starting point. Now, what are the major reasons in the CNCF landscape? So the different reasons, if you see my screen, right, the very first thing is orchestration and management, as I spoke before as well. For different teams who are in different path, the choice of tooling would be different for each of you basically. So for example, orchestration and management, something DevOps team might be looking forward to, right? How do you make sure that your deployments are consistent? How do you make sure that when you build, you achieve build parallelism, right? How do you manage the containerized application at scale? And when I say scale, it's like you are getting millions of traffic, for example, millions of transactions in a month in case of fintech, right? How do you handle that kind of scale? So from that particular category, you can choose one tool that would be sufficient for you. You might want to do POC with a couple of tools so that you end up choosing one that is relevant for you. Again, there are things involved here. How do you choose? How do you make sure that this particular tool is sufficient for you? So maybe you can do a chaos testing, maybe you can do K6 load testing to simulate the traffic that you are getting actually in the production environment. So there are ways how you can do that, but you have to opt for one tool from this particular category. Then comes networking, service meshes. It's very complex topic. So service meshes, I have not seen a lot of use cases there. But again, if there are use case for really highly compliance fintechs, or where you need to split the traffic or want to have a control on the ingress and the egress traffic which is coming to your cluster, then service meshes are good. But maintenance is another headache, right? Ingress are pretty much common that you would be using for almost every application if you're using Kubernetes, so that you can expose your services to the outer world basically. Observability is again important, because what happens once it is being deployed, right? How do you make sure that you are continuously monitoring your application? You want to make sure, you want to understand the application uh, APM management things, APM management side of the things as well, right? How do you make sure that you achieve that? So you might want to pick some tools from the observability stack, maybe the bare minimum and the basics one, Prometheus and Grafana, for example, right? You can use Prometheus and Grafana to create your own custom dashboards, to analyze the metrics, to analyze the application metrics, for example, CPU, memory, latency, throughput, anything that you want to do. Grafana is just a naked playground. You can create any custom dashboard that you want to do, and Prometheus is a time series database basically. So it captures all the logs, all the matrices, and that you should be able to use to create a custom dashboard. The CI/CD, now what you should be choosing for the CI/CD, right? By the way, Kubernetes is an orchestration layer. To be specific, if you think Kubernetes is a tool, no, it's an orchestration layer. So on the top of that orchestration layer, what exactly do you need? So on the top of that, you need different tools to orchestrate or manage that particularly. Next category that we're talking about, CI/CD. With CI/CD tools you should be using. For example, if you are onto Kubernetes, do you want to use Jenkins, the legacy systems, or GitHub Actions, wherein you need to expose your kube config to the outer world, or would you prefer a Kubernetes native solution which actually sits within your Kubernetes cluster so that you are out of your security risk? That's your choice, right? So you need to choose that particular tool from the CI/CD ecosystem which fits your perfectly use case. Again, security you cannot ignore, right? How do you make sure that the container images that are being built when you are deploying into the production environment are perfectly secure? How do you make sure that you have the SAST scanning enabled within your pipelines? Which tools you want to use? For example, SonarQube is one of the most common tool being used for code analysis, right? So security is, and again, one of the important categories from which you want to use or pick certain tools that might help you. Now when I say reasons, right, let me give you a small example here. Mm, when you travel, right, you don't explore each and every city in that. For example, your target is you're leaving from Kanyakumari and you're going to Leh Ladakh. All the cities which are coming between this particular route, you're not gonna visit each and every city, right? But you would be visiting those regions, right? You might cross Madhya Pradesh, but you will not visit each and every city of Madhya Pradesh. The one that is coming on your way, you will visit that only. Probably if you are choosing the highway and if you're choosing the highway, you will directly surpass it, right? So these reasons are the different categories that you should be looking into it, but you won't be exploring each and every tool in these reasons because there are a lot of tools. You might want to explore one or two depending upon your use case, and then you will move ahead basically. That's how it works, right? You will start from a very broader level and then deep down into a specific use cases and a specific tools. Now, learning paths. So what are the different popular travel routes? So as I mentioned before as well, it depends upon where you are standing right now in your journey. For example, if you are a student and you are figuring out what exactly you want to do, maybe you want to become a developer, maybe you want to become a DevOps or SRE engineer, platform engineer. So the entire route changes, the entire itinerary changes depending upon where exactly you want to go, right? For developers, you might wanna focus more on shipping application, right? How to improve application. For example, if you might have heard of Post Hog, I think you might not have heard of Post, but let me give an example. Let's say hotel, right? Open telemetry. You might wanna integrate directly within your applications so that you can so that you or maybe the SRE team can create a API latency dashboard. That might be important to you, right? What is the latency of each API call? That is important from a developer point of view. So you might want to integrate that, and maybe you can use Hotel for that, or you can use some other tool for that. For example, if you want to intercept the traffic and create something different, let's say, for example, if you want to have a envoy proxy, right? You can use an envoy proxy to intercept the traffic, and then you can create your own reportings or analysis within your applications. So that can be your part, and then from depending upon your needs, you can choose the particular tool from the particular category, and then you can work on it. You can explore that particular tool. DevOps SRE, how do you make sure that the production is reliable enough, right? It does not break. How do you make sure that you are actually managing the incident response? And some fundamental concepts of infrastructure as a code and all those things. Now, the next is platform engineering. Again, how do you make sure that you have a multi-tenant platform wherein developers, DevOps, SREs, everyone collaborate with each other. So every route has a different path. Now, some small beginner trial mistakes is that when you see the landscape, you try to learn everything basically. Never do that. Tool hopping without a context is not at all of use. So your friend is just trying out Devtron and you might want to use Devtron. That doesn't make sense, right? If you have an actual use case, then go ahead and try it out. And watching tutorial is like something you are visiting places on Instagram reels. So watching tutorials will not help at all. Get your hands dirty. The number two experience, I might go fast because just 5 minutes is left. So maybe at the Q&A you can ask me questions. The basic fundamental rule number two of backpacking or travel is that experience. Theory will not take you anywhere basically. Never. So Don't be a tourist, be an explorer. A small example, if I give you, if I go to Lucknow as a tourist, I might want to go Imambada, right? I might want to go Bhul Bhulaiya. But since I know that place, I will go to 10 Chauraha first to have a chai, basically, and chai and maska. So be an explorer, fail sometimes, and that's perfectly okay. Break things, create your own Kubernetes cluster locally, basically. Deploy your application, break those application, because once you break the application, you understand how to fix it, and that is more important, right? Instead of just reading about how to fix it, go ahead and fix it actually in the cluster. That will help you. Theory will not help you in anywhere. And getting lost is perfectly okay. Everyone get lost sometimes, so it's perfectly okay. You don't need to worry about that at all. um, so I had a very beautiful example of my recent travel, but maybe I will not share because of time. So getting lost is perfectly okay. So if you're thinking you might not be able to do it, you might not able to deploy it, you might not be able to set it up, that's perfectly okay. Everyone fails it. The place that you are right now at, everyone was once there as well. So it's perfectly okay. You don't need to worry about it at all. Just keep trying it. Now, once you are done with these activities, right? Once you understand, once you know how to navigate it, so now comes the contributing part. And contributions in CNCF or the open source ecosystem is not just about code, right? There are different ways you can do it. Maybe you can start fixing the documentation, because documentation is your holy Bible. If you're exploring any tool, don't see YouTube videos. It will not help you at all. In college, I also used to see those videos, but it will not help you anywhere, because there will be a lot of new tools which comes up, right? And there might not be any YouTube video for that. So documentation is your holy Bible. When you read documentation, you understand it, the nitty-gritties of it, because these are the one created by the maintainers or the creators of that project. So no one understands that project better than them, right? So when you're reading documentation, if you see a small typo as well, fix it. That's a very small contribution, that very good to start with. If you have any issues while you're exploring the project, go ahead and raise an issue and open a ticket in the GitHub repository. If you think you can fix some bugs that you have discovered, or if you go to any open source repository, just search for good first issues, and you'll see a lot of beginner friendly issues. Maybe you can start, if you're a developer, or if you're choosing a path of developer, maybe you can start creating pull requests for that. And let me tell you, the open source community is really welcoming. So any tool that you are picking up, you can go to their Slack channel or the Discord channel, you can talk to the maintainers, and you can start contributing in different ways, basically. As small as writing about that particular tool, or writing a LinkedIn post, writing a blog, everything helps. Trust me. Devtron is also an open source project, so I understand that everything helps here. Even a small blog also contributes a lot. Now, as we mentioned before, right? Build your own itinerary. Don't follow someone else's roadmap, basically. Wherever you are going, it's perfectly fine to fail sometimes. It's perfectly fine to be confused, but pick a goal where you want to go. Choose one particular category from which you want to start with. Learn one or two different tools, explore, so that you understand how it works, the particular domain, and try to understand the fundamentals, not just the upper surface layer, right? Build something of your own and share it with the community. Sharing can be by any means: creating a small project, contributing to the documentation, writing a blog, creating a video, writing a LinkedIn post. Anything is perfectly fine. So we are at the end of the session. So some of the key takeaways which we talked about: the landscape is a guide, it's not a race. So you don't need to run fast enough to come first. Understand where you want to go and start from the basics, basically. Choose small things and then start your journey. Curiosity over memorizations. You don't need to learn each and everything. Understand the fundamentals, and then be curious enough to ask questions, so that you understand a lot of other things as well. When you ask a question, the other person who is actually a maintainer of the project, or who have worked on the project, they might give you a different perspective of that project as well, right? Smart start very small, but keep moving. Consistency is the key, basically. So maybe today you're starting with some of the tool, and tomorrow you stopped it. That will not help you anywhere. So start with the small tools, with small basic use cases, but keep on doing it. That will help you. And getting lost or getting failed is a part of the journey. So don't worry about it at all. कोई कुछ नहीं बोलने वाला है. So chill. You can just start with the small, and failure is a part of the process, basically. Thank you so much. I hope I finished up in time. I might have rushed it, so I'm really sorry about that. But feel free to short questions.
I think you summed up pretty much on time, Abhinav. And
Okay.
I mean, your last takeaway, nobody's going to say anything. And I mean, you need to start small from any point of a time. And tracking itself is like, I mean, if I compare tracking with the CNCF landscape journey, uh, so your journey versus everyone's journey, everyone's journey is kind of different from each other. So you have to decide how you want to move into, even in learning phase or a CNCF landscape, depending on the company and the project, you get to decide how you want to move. I think that's a very good takeaway from this session. And thank you, Abhinav, for this insightful session. I think uh, today's with the AIs and all, people are little afraid that hey, if it's going to eat our jobs and all. But yeah, if you keep pushing, I think there is a still space for you to actually grow in. So yeah, I think Mrityunjay have a one question. So yeah, Mrityunjay, you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the one that I asked earlier to Sudhanshu and Saurabh. So, hello, Abhinav, myself, Mrityunjay.
Hello.
I want to ask that being a developer, does the experience of being a developer is required to be a good DevOps and cloud engineer?
The very first thing, why do you want to move to DevOps? Do you think DevOps is easy, or why exactly you want to move
Mm,
to DevOps?
no, actually, I'm a DevOps engineer at
Okay,
Smarter Technologies. So I'm
perfect.
what I have heard from people that being a developer is more important as an experience to get into the DevOps field to understand how things work before before using orchestration, before using CI/CD, before using the tools of DevOps. We should get an idea of what development is. So is that necessary? Or
So that's a
just
very tricky question, I
prior
would say.
knowledge is
It's good to have knowledge. It's not necessity. If you think of it as a necessity, right, then there won't be any DevOps engineer. There would be just developers, right? So it's not a necessity, but it's good to have, because when you are troubleshooting, na, actually, with some application issues or all those things, then there are things when you actually end up with the application layer as well, dealing with the application layer actually. So that's good to have the developer knowledge so that you understand APIs, the API calls, the very basic environment variables. For example, how does the environment variable has been called in the application, right? How do you make sure that where exactly the application is fetching those environment variables from? For example, if your code base is looking for a file in which you have all the environment variables, and when you are, as a DevOps engineer, when you are creating a config map, and in the config map you have given all the environment variables as or you have given all the key value pairs as environment variables, it won't help it, right? Then you need to make sure that the from where the application is asking for those environment variables, it needs to be served from that particular place. It can be from a file which it can be from a file which is mounted to a particular path in a particular location. So having the knowledge is good, but it's not necessity, because eventually if you are facing some issues with the application layer, right, you will have developers to help you with that. But having the knowledge of development, definitely it adds on 100%.
okay. Also, I like the line that you said that every DevOps engineer has his own story of uh, like how he is there and how he has been there. So that was a nice thing I heard, and I think it clicked. It instantly clicked me because I have seen people from various fields to getting into this field, and this was interesting to know. Thank you.
Always.
Thank you for the question, Mrityunjay. Yeah. Any more questions? And otherwise, we'll start with the second session. I think Achanan is kind of waiting, and he is already there giving one more talk in Bangalore right now. Probably, have you already given the talk in Bangalore, or you have to give a talk after this session? Yeah.
Hi Sudhanshu. No, like I'm not giving any talk today. Like just be with the team and helping the team.
Oh,
That's
okay. Okay. I see you have posted there are 150 people joining. Yeah, that's very great to hear. Yeah,
yeah,
that's Bangalore every day.
yeah. That's a Bangalore.
Yeah. So thank you, Ashanan, for joining us. And I'm also happy that you have making time despite you are still part of that meetup and joining us from online as well. I think that's a win-win for both of us. And Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are here just because of that, to understand on your topic, and they really want to understand is coding is really enough. And then I think that's kind of click for a lot of people who are
Yes, yes.
even seeing AIs and all of that. Yeah, yeah, cool.
Thanks, Sudhanshu.
Let's start with you. Yeah,
Thanks, Sudhanshu, for me having here, and thanks for Abhinav. Like most of the things you already covered. Like everyone's have a different way of starting their own career, and what are the different ways they can also contribute. You also covered those things. Thanks, Abhinav, for the
Sorry, man.
okay. Uh, let's start. So I'm just going to. So what are the things I planned for this talk? Is like I just having three things in my mind. So the three I wanted to change it in a three ways. Like first, what is the current problem in our open source, and how you can get started with open source, and what are other open source are there open source project, but we don't use much about all those things because of all the marketings of other projects, right? So I have just added like I have the three ways of things to share. So let's start with this one. Is writing really code enough for open source? So when I started open source, right, I see a lot of things. Before that, I just want to introduce myself. I'm a developer advocate at Keploy, so I do some open source contribution as well. So I contribute to KAgent and Keploy and SpinCube. Recently, I started contributing to SpinCube, and related to Kubernetes, I did some documentation, not real code base, and also something related to OpenLet also. And also, I'm an organizer of Open Search User Group Bangalore and Chennai. So, what is the first thing you will think of you when you hear about open source, right? So, I just wanted answer from the audience also. What is the first thing you think about when you hear about open source? So let's we'll think about it's a community driven and transparency and freedom to build and no gatekeepers and grow together, right? So yeah, we agree on this. And what other things when comes to your mind when anyone's talking about open source, right? GitHub and a lot of licenses, right? So a lot of things are happening around open source and license, and a lot of new projects has been born because of the license changes and code and pull requests and merge and all the issues and other things, right? But I just so what we think. So I'm not like if you are someone new to open source, right? What they actually think about is writing code, getting my PRs merged, and all these things are the only way for the open source contributions, right? Even I too, when I started contributing to open source and other things, I also thought the open source is the like coding is the only way I can just contribute to the open source. If I was not contributing to like in a code, I'm not a contributor. So this is what I was thinking like in last year. But then eventually everything started when I was interacting with the communities, the maintainers, and all the like marketing teams and folks from Linux Foundation and all these things. And I started realizing that code is not the only way where people can contribute to open source. There are other ways, but nobody is willing to contribute to those things. Like they are just thinking like it's a small thing. How can I showcase this to other people and other things, right? So I just wanted to share one use case, like one recent things happened in CNCF, right? So we all know Nginx, right? It's a popular Nginx controller, ingress controller, right? We all use like in default documentation in Kubernetes, they use ingress, right? But what happened to ingress, right? Nginx ingress. So the project is so popular, and still people are using Nginx ingress instead of like gateway APIs. Also, there people are started migrating, but still most of the companies relies on the ingress part, right? But what happened to the Nginx part, right? There are no contributors. Like the two maintainers are there, right? So they are very much involved in all the community activities, and they do also have other works, right? We consume a lot of open source softwares, but we are not able to spend our times on like contributing, or like in the maintenance part we are not converting the initial user contribution to maintainers, right? If there are more than 3 or 4 maintainers are there, right, then the ingress part, the Nginx will be a good use case, and a lot of companies also, including the migration part also. So then I wanted to share the flywheel, like what is the flywheel of open source will be really looking like, right? First, people will use the software and eventually the adoption will happen, and then the contribution happens and the growth you will see and the success of the project, right? So most of the people are just using and adopting the project, but they don't want to contribute. If people are not contributing to the softwares or the project they are using, right, then don't we don't see the growth of that project, and then we don't see the success of that project, right? So this how the flywheel of open source would be look like. But most of the people are there in just using and adopting the project. And also another thing I just wanted to show, like the reason why the nginx part happened, right? So we have a user and we have like occasional contributors also, but we are not converting those peoples into a maintainers or a leaders, right? So we wanted to uh, first we have to start from where, and we have to start using the project, and then the user will eventually converted into the contributors, and the contributors become the maintainers, right? So if you see the tunnel, right,
Uh,
there will be a less.
one, Chandan, I think your screen sharing is stopped. Sorry to interrupt you. I think, yeah, I
Sorry.
think we are not able to see your screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it okay?
Uh, I think even now we can't see actually.
Let me share your screen.
Yep,
So
yep.
sorry,
You're
this.
back. You're back again. Yeah.
Sorry, Sudhanshu. This will happen in all the online part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
So,
that's the pain of the remote online
so
meetups. Yeah.
yeah. So, and from which slide the online screen sharing got uh,
I think when
interrupted?
you were sharing about the Nginx, yeah, at
Yeah.
this point, yeah.
So like for the flywheel of open source, right? So how would the flywheel of open source will look like? So first we need to have a lot of users, and then the adoption will happen, and then the contribution, and then you see the growth of that open source project, and then you will see the actual success rate. But most of us are just consuming the open source softwares, and we just adopting the open source project in our day-to-day life. But most of them are not converting into a contribution, and if the contribution is not happening, then there will be no growth of that project, and there will be no success also, right? But in the nginx part, we are just consuming and we are just using a lot, but the contributions are not converted into a maintenance level, right? So I just wanted to show the funnel of how the contribution will be there. Like we have a lot of user part there, and those few user occasionally become a contributors, and then from few contributors we have just only few maintainers, right? So that's the main things there, right? We need a lot of maintainers to take care of all the open source project, right? For 40 percentage of the open source currently in the market, like we have only 2 to 3 maintainers there. Hardly, like for few projects we have only one maintainers, right? So open source people, the maintainers are, they do have also other works, they do also work for a company, right? So they just do it for their purpose, they want to contribute and other things, right? They are not just doing it for a full time, right? And the problem, so we don't have enough maintainers, as I mentioned. We are not converting the users or the people who have adapted, right? So we're not converting those people into a maintainers level things, and we don't have enough people writing about documentation, as Abhinav also mentioned. Like, so people are just thinking about code, right? If you see a lot of open source project, right, how do people actually start using your open source project, right? So there should be a guide to install, how to install your project, how to get started with your project, how to set up the infra, right? So even if you wrote a good open source project in the world, if there is no good documentation, then how people will actually try your open source project, right? So there is a separate lfx projects, and mentees are working for documentation. So if you see the current lfx mentee, there is a one project, like people, they just write a contribution in the lfx mentorship, right? So it's way more important than writing a code, I would say, from my perspective. So and then we don't have enough people to write test cases, right? So we do end-to-end testing pipeline in the Kubernetes. There are a lot of pipelines are there, right? So we have to change accordingly, CI/CD pipelines, and there are a lot of things are there in writing pipelines, test cases, and all these things, right? And then we don't have enough people for advocating. Like most of the project, right? You just go and see in the landscape, like you will see only top few CNCF projects are people are talking about, right? There are a lot of other CNCF project which people are don't even know there is there any project for that. So let's say for a CNCF sandbox, there are a lot of CNCF projects as a sandbox project, but nobody is talking about the people. So the project about that thing, right? So start talking about the project, as Abhinav also mentioned, write blogs about that project, so people will eventually know how are you using your project, and write user stories if you are already using your. So let's say for example, if you are using any open source CNCF project like K3s or any other project, if you are using internally, write a blog about that, so that other companies they know how are using internally, right? So it is also a way of contribution, but people they'll think like it's a simple way, who's going to write and all these things, right? But eventually all these things will come to in a picture. So yeah, that's one thing I would just wanted to show, like all the so sorry for that, like it's a lunchtime, I know, sorry for making you hungry.
Yeah,
I think my screen is visible, right?
yeah. Again.
Again,
One
not
more question. It's not visible again. I think it's kind of stopping in between. Probably something. Are you
okay.
using Ubuntu?
No, I'm
That's
using Mac.
probably my first. Okay, then.
Sorry,
So I
sorry,
have,
folks, sorry for that.
uh, yeah, I have one question before we go. So you said coding might not be the uh, necessary, or is not the only way you can actually contribute to open source. But now that we have all these good AI tooling sort of in the market, even open source APIs and all, Copilot, ChatGPT, and all of that, which can actually help a one person to basically get started with an open source project. So I think it's
Okay.
kind of diminishing the need for a one person to have a documentation even in the first place, because you can basically explain the whole code base at a one point of a time. But what I think is, if the developer itself didn't write the description of the function, or what the I mean, whatever that you have defined in the code base, you are not writing a description of the function, that the parameters or whatever that you're using in it, then I think that's where the most problem is also. I mean, even if you're using a chat GPT, what do you think about it? I mean, we have AIs and all, and you say documentation is the problem, but I can solve it with the AI, then what would be the main problem then?
Okay, really a good question. So here I want to share my own story. So I'm also a maintainer of Keploy. So we also have a lot of open source project as well. So every day I used to review 20 to 30 PRs in our repository. So what I was seeing from the contribution is, so people are just using Copilot and other tools to see what issues I can create, what PRs, like how can I improve code base here, right? But they don't understand what actually the code is doing. Even if ChatGPT or Copilot is saying all these things, like explaining what is the code is doing, so people are creating a random PRs and random issues which already we solved. We know it is stable, the project is stable, the code base is stable, but still people are creating issues and PRs and all these things, right? So yeah, eventually like AI is going to help, but what I wanted to say is, like, if you use docs for AI also, right? But people, so AI is not going to try your open source project, right? So like I am also write, I also write docs for the my company project, right? So if how can I do is, like, if you are someone who's from other perspective, how other trying, I will write for them, right? So what I was conveying to is, like, if other people are trying, so how can I write for them to understand, right? But AI doesn't know anything. You just give a prompt and just give you a bunch of text in a markdown and you can add it in your docs, but it doesn't know the empathy of the user. It doesn't know how actually user will try, what issues they will fix. Because sometimes if you add API key, right, it doesn't work, but AI doesn't know. But if you tried yourself and you write all those things and notes and other things, then the user will know eventually what will happen, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, but for writing description and other things, AI can help. But we are also facing a lot of DDoS attack due to all the AI generated codes. Also, they don't understand what is there, and by seeing the code base itself, we can understand they are just creating a random PRs.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I think I got my answer. And I think people are now hungry because you have actually posted a picture of
Yes, sorry.
pizza over here. And I see Atul message and Somali's message over here in in the chat that people are actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably lunchtime for us, all of us.
Sorry, Sudhanshu. Sorry for that. So, like the point I wanted to convey is like even if AI can write a documentation, but it doesn't know how user actually will try, right? But they do, so if I trying in a Mac, what issue I will face? If I trying in a Windows, what issue I will face? So all these small things, right? AI can't do it, right? So we need a someone who actually the user who actually tries and use that software, right? They are able to write a good software, they are able to write a good documentation. So that is thing. So I also lot of face a lot of things over the AI generated PRs. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
So
I think there might be a question. I'm not sure, but I think Yuvraj is saying something. He's saying actually I'm a new to contributing open source projects and I don't know where to start contributing to it. From my POV, we can learn and explore more about it. I think that answers the question where actually AI is actually helping, I think. And I think you also have a genuine concern that people are actually using AI to basically just spam the peers, right? So there is a middle ground to be made for that people to actually understand what's the spamming and where it's actually helping. Yeah.
yeah, Sudhanshu, the problem is people are also using AI to create a good PRs also. But what problem is they don't understand what actually the project is doing, right? So what new people are doing is, so they want to create a PR, so they want their PR to merge. But what they do, they go for a copilot and they ask, how can I contribute to so all these things and issues and other things. But they don't understand actually what that project is actually doing, right? That is the real problem. So if you know the project is doing, what is the project is doing, the code structure, what is their what the actual function is doing and all these things, they can write a good function. Even ChatGPT can, even we also use AI to write a code, and we also write a PRs, and we also merge internal PRs also, right? But the problem with the external people or the people who are actually getting started, they use to create some random PRs without understanding the project. That is my point. I'm not saying don't use AI to create a PRs or other things. First, understand. So that is my next slide. I just wanted to show
Yeah.
that is a good thing for Ivraj can look into. So how can we start it? So I just have a three levels of contribution. If you are someone who is new to open source, like you are getting started, so use the project first. First, understand what domain are you and what domain you're looking for. If you're in DevOps, look for the project you are already using in your company or anything. Let's say for Grafana or any other open source project you are using it. Just see what other issues are there or what issue you are actually facing. Then create an issue for that. If you are facing any issue, it's a genuine issue, then create a PR, like you create an issue for that. Go to their Slack and ask people what their issue. Maybe someone also facing the same issue, right? So it also improve the software over the time. So you might thinking it is happening in your machine only, but it might be happen in other project also, other users also, right? So create an issue also. Create an issue is also a way of contributing to a software. First, use that project. That is the first advice I give it to all the people. First, use the project. First, stay in your domain. What other domains you are in? Let's say if you are in web development, see what open source projects are there in your domain, and then start using it. And then you might know what are the what struggles you are facing and other things, and read the docs and fix small mistakes. If you are any mistake you are facing, like any small things, you can do it and report what doesn't work for you. Like maybe something you might missed or something like that. Go to their Slack. Most of the open source project in CNCF or any other thing, they have their Slack channel. So go through a Slack channel and see what other conversation they are having, right? If you are in level one, like level one means like if you are starting your first contribution, like new to open source, and if you are already using your open source, if you are already contributing to few things, and then like you can improve their docs, and because you are already using the project, you know what are there in the docs, and contribute to user stories as I mentioned earlier. Write some user stories, migration guide, reviews other people work, see what other PRs are there. Maybe you can also, don't think like already people are reviewing, then I why can I want to review that. Maybe you have some different perspective. Also help newcomers, like if you are someone, if you see someone creating a PRs, and if you wanted to help them, go and help them. And for level 3 people, like they are already doing it. For maintenance, I'm just saying, like maintain the project, include more maintenance into that project, guide new contributors, and shape the future of that open source project. So that is the uh, so if I want to start, or if I was starting the open source contribution, this is how I would start. So yeah, Yuvraj, do you have any question for me? Like, hello, I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Oh,
I think Yuvraj is here, but yeah, I think there's some. Yep, I think Yuvraj replied over the chat. Yeah, yeah,
okay. Okay.
cool.
If you guys have any question, yeah, I'll just see it in the chat, and then I'll move on to the next slide. So a few pieces of advice I wanted to share it with you folks. Like so I also reviews few PRs, and what other things I wanted to convey to you. Like, just as I mentioned, start using the open source project before contributing it, and then join their Slack channel. I think the screen is not shared, I guess.
Yeah, screen is not sharing, and I think we have a one question from Utsav that
Okay.
if you know or you have few open source project that people can actually pick to initially start, as in good one to start basically.
So I don't recommend any software for them, because like I don't know what language they are comfortable with, what domains they are working on, right? So that is what the problem is. Like, you have to find out your way by yourself, right? So go and see what are the, as I mentioned earlier, like what are you, in which domain are you in. Just look the open source project there and see what, if you are already using open source project, try to contribute to the project which you are already using it, right? And if you want to contribute to other open source project like Kubernetes, then first start using Kubernetes and see how people are doing it, what contribution guides are there, right? If you wanted to contribute for any other project, let's say for Grafana, or like for any other K3 years or any other project, if you want to contribute to, then see how the first, at that time I mentioned, right, use the project. If you don't know any open source project to use, then start using your favorite open source project, or like so just so it all depends on your interest, right? I don't say use this project, your PR will get merged. I don't want to say that, right? It's all upon you. As Abhinav also mentioned, you have to find your way. We can just guide them, we can just say you can just do like that, but we don't say like use this project, use this open source project, because we don't want anyone to force, or we don't want any project to say you can start from this one, right? Everyone's open source journey will be different, everyone's open source first PR will be different. So that is what I want to say, Sudhanshu.
Yeah, I have one site that I think was shared in the CNCF Slack by a Nate. And I think that provides a very quick sort of like a search experience for a people to find out what people are tagging as a good first issues. But I think it depends. You have to take it with a grain of salt. If you are comfortable, you are already using that project some way or other. You already know about that, and you see a issue created over there, and you think you can actually contribute, then probably go ahead and just pick that out. But I think that would serve as a good search point to basically keep track of what is happening, what issue is coming up, what you think you can pick up. Depending your capabilities, what you can extend to, you can pick that one out. But just don't spam the project that you are going and just you just see a good first issue on some issues, and then you just kept on spamming over there. So probably that's something to avoid, I think.
Yeah, the
Yep.
problem with first issue is like a lot of people are asking them to assign the issue, right? How can I assure? I can I assign the one single issue to all the people, right? So we can't do that. So we used to face a lot of things. People are asking the issues to assign to them. So don't say like assign to them. Create a PR for that issue. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yep.
Yeah. So a few piece of advice like just use the open source project before contributing it. Join their Slack or like newsletters or any other things, and avoid AI to use random PRs or issues, and start contributing to good first issue. As Sudhanshu also mentioned, there is a link. You can also follow that and follow the community rules and guidelines. And yeah, before contribute, like if you are created already a PR, don't spam the maintainers or keep on saying for the review, because open source, like most of the people, they do have other works. So wait for your PRs to get merged or reviewed, right? So eventually, like within a day or two, they will definitely review it. So don't spam in the GitHub commands to review that PR. So yeah, last thing, like popular open source project, I just wanted to share about for the proprietary alternatives. So for the container ecosystem, Docker is not a fully open source project. So instead of Docker, you can use build packs. So build packs will provide you a way to create a container without writing a Docker file. And you can also use Podman, a complete alternative to Docker. And you can also use Arbor for your own registry. If you want to create your own registry instead of Docker Hub, you can use Arbor. So like if you use like for Elastic, you can also use OpenSearch. So you will get the vector search features, vector DB, and machine learning, and all the AI related features and search feature from OpenSearch. And for CI, I hope most of them are not heard about this project called Woodpecker. So we internally use this project Woodpecker. So it's a 40 percentage higher, like in terms of the cost savage and other things when compared to GitHub Action. Like we use in a lot of self-hosted runners in our pipeline. So then we saw it, GitHub Action is taking a lot of time. We migrated to a Picker CI. So it's also in one of the open source project. You can also check with this project. And yeah, Redis, you can also use Valkey for that alternative. And Terraform, most of them know the alternative, OpenTofu. And for MongoDB, and you can use DocumentDB for that. And for Datadog, there are a lot of tools in observability, but my favorite top three is one is Grafana and next is Signos, and you can also use OpenLet. So and the other open source projects also there. And yeah, for Minio, like recently they changed their licenses, and you can also use RESTFS for that object storage. And few some of the interesting my favorite CNCF projects like OpenEarth, Keros, and those two projects are the CNCF sandbox projects. And you can also use OpenCos, K3s, Volcano. It's a new project, interesting one. And you can also use Kubevela. So yeah, there are a lot of CNCF sandbox projects are there. So go and look the CNCF project sandbox, because they want a lot of help from people for the sandbox project, because CNCF incubating project and graduated are like all the things are running in production and a lot of people are using it. But go and see what are the sandbox projects are there. So they want a really help from people to get into incubating stage and other things. You can definitely be part of them. You can write a docs for them. You can do creating issues and other things, and you can do for a lot of things for CNCF sandbox project. If you want to contribute to CNCF landscape, I'm just saying. And
Yeah.
open source programs, yeah, you're saying something.
I think your screen is stopped, or you have done it intentionally.
No, man, I don't know what is happening in my mission today.
I, I think they're just trying out the new iOS, or sort of Mac OS update or
So
something.
from which slide it got uh thing?
I think Redis. Yeah. I think I
Redis.
just saw about Redis. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So for Redis, you can use Valkey and Terraform. We already know OpenTofu. And for MongoDB, you can use DocumentDB. And for Datadog, like there are a lot of other open source projects also there. But my favorite is Grafana and Signos, and you can also use OpenLit. And for Minio, like they recently changed the license, and you can use RestFS. And my few interesting CNCF projects, OpenHeart, Keras, and Keras is CNCF sandbox projects, and OpenCause, Kubela, K3s, Volcano. So those things are like getting started in their journey. A lot of people they need, so they need a people to advocate for that project. They want someone to write blog because nobody knows about these small project, right? Volcano, I just saw it in last week also about that Volcano project, and Keras, OpenEarth, and all this project needs a way for people to communicate. They need a new people. So go and see CNCF sandbox project if you want to contribute in a CNCF landscape. And yeah, open source programs you can be you can apply for, like maybe you can just apply for GSOC is getting started next month. You can get started if you are already contributing to open source projects, and if you want to get into open source programs, you can get into GSOC. And you can also get apply for LFX mentorship. They do it for every 3 months. And there are a lot of projects they need a mentors and mentees also for guiding the journey of that project. So you can be part of these two programs, open source programs. So yeah, so open source need a maintainers, writers, testers, speakers, and helpers, not just only a coders. So that is the takeaway. You can just take it off. And my personal advice before ending is first use their project, join their Slack, attend the meetups, talk about the project, write a blog. And yeah, so and just also code to that project if you want, if you know how to contribute to that project. So yeah, do all the things. Like be an all-rounder. If you're a cricket fan, I would say if you wanted to be shine in the open source journey, be an all-rounder. Open source will take you to then a right way. That's it. So that's it, folks. So and then wanted to end it with this final meme. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
So if you have any question, let's have it right now.
I think Sonali had a question. I'm not sure. Anyone else? Sonali had a question around the link for LFX Menti. But I think if you have it around, have it handy, you can share. But yeah. And I would thank Achanand. I want to thank Achanand that taking the time and basically coming out here and talking about the open source. I probably throw down. I actually shot very good hard question at your way, but I think that's we all are kind of still figuring out how AI and all of that are actually playing out in the industry, and there is still a lot of things to be figured out in that case. Probably the way we see open source might change as well.
Yes.
And if anyone is actually open to join such meetups or any meetup, if you're coming to Bangalore, I think Achanand would be a good point to connect on LinkedIn because he's the organizer of the two of the meetups. The open I think Open Search is the one, right?
Yes, open search.
Yes, Open Search. You probably get to meet a lot good people and many people. So do share your LinkedIn profile if anyone is actually looking out to connect with you. I would say. Yeah, I think Somali is kind of you are having a open source meetup in Chennai. I'm not sure. Are you going to be there?
Yeah, maybe we are planning for next month. We'll plan for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just for a quick update, we have Pranshu in the house as well and Saurav as well. Both are the two of the other organizers of this meetup. And I want to thank them as well to joining, making time this weekend and basically making it possible. Yeah. Any more questions? Anything? Please unmute your mic and probably talk it out. Okay. So I think there is a meetup happening in Delhi, and there is usually happens. There is a multiple event that happens in Delhi. So if you want to know about them, I think you can connect with uh, Abhinav. That would be the first person I would say. He's a go-to, and he's the organizer of the CNCG New Delhi, one of the organizer over there. So if you are connected with him, you probably get to hear about more of upcoming meetups in Delhi. And I will share any other links. So, and about Lucknow, so I think this is our first meetup of this year. We'll probably going to make it possible to organize offline ones, probably more soon. And in next month, maybe I'm in talk with the people who are interested to have it offline. So probably you will see it offline, and we'll have good speakers from the offline. Probably I will let Pranshu speak on the next one, since he's a very good um, person to speak on behalf of open source. Yeah. So Pranshu, if you want to say some few words, I would be happy to open the stage for you. Yeah. If you're talking, you're on a mute, Pranshu.
Yeah, sorry, lightning was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I I think you said it perfectly. We are just happy to, start a chapter for Lucknow, and of course, this is the first one, but we definitely hope to grow in the future. And I'll stop being lazy and actually one of these days try to talk about something. But I really appreciate Sudhanshu and Saurabh taking the reins and just driving this chapter. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone for attending this.
Yeah. And thank you for everyone to taking your time one Saturday. And I mean, I'm not sure how at what time you guys wake up, but it is very hard in winters to actually wake up on time and make it to any even cut off. So we have Mrityunjay as well as a volunteer working with us. And if you know Mrityunjay, I would be happy that you can reach through him and to us if you have wanted to speak in next event, or you want this meetup to happen in your venue. That could be a college space or a hall room. We would be happy to organize it over there. And I think Pranshu does not speak a lot, but he's a SIG chair member. If you are in the CNCF community, you probably know about SIG chair. So yeah, anything around CNCF, you can probably hit him up. I'm not sure if he's going to respond or he's a busy, but yeah, probably. And have a
I'll
nice day,
definitely
folks.
respond. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
we're
that's
always
good.
looking for more members.
Yep. And nice day, everyone. And thank you for joining us. If there is anything that you need, probably just shoot me a message on the LinkedIn or any one of the organizers over there. Take care. Have a nice day, all. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.